I'm thrilled to be able to spend a little bit of time on fall equinox with you. It's really precious to me. If you have not yet sent me either a message or named where you're coming from, you can rename yourself or send it in the chat. Either way would be fine. I have more participants waiting to come in, so I will admit them. All right. So here's what I want to start with. This is what I want to say first of all, is the fall equinox is a time when we're really going right from the expansion or the yang of summer into the yin of winter. So it's this transitional time, particularly today, where we're equally balanced between light and dark, the amount of hours of light and dark, and then moving to longer darkness in the next several days up through well, into the winter, up into to winter solstice. So this is a tipping point time. And it feels to me that part of the reason I'm so joyful to connect with you is that it feels like it's a tipping point on so many different levels. Of course, it's in the Jewish tradition, Shana Tova, to those of you who are Jewish. This is a time of new beginnings, a time of sort of opening up into what's possible, to be able to revision ourselves, to reimagine ourselves. And so this is a sacred time in a lot of different ways. It's particularly a time to release what's no longer working for you. So I wrote some notes to myself because I had so much I wanted to say, and I'm sort of jamming it in as quickly as I could. You know, what can I say? How can I, what can I give of value before we actually begin the practice? Because it's really important when we do some of these practices to have that sense of what is the larger context? What is the context that we're working with in terms of the larger energy fields that we're working with? So the fall is a time, there's different associations in Chinese medicine with different seasons. And so the fall is associated with the lungs and with a time of metal. It's connected to the emotion of grief and loss. And they say when you move energy through the lungs, you're coming back to your essence and you're bringing up courage. And so one of the things we want to think about today when we're doing our practices is breath, because of the lungs, and essence. The virtue that's associated with this season is preciousness. So just as there are precious metals, it's preciousness. And what that preciousness refers to is self-esteem, who you are in your essence, what you need in your essence. So this is a time to really go into that place of what it is that you value in yourself. What is your sense of self-worth? What are the choices that you make that help augment that sense of self-worth? It's a time of alchemy because metal is derived from the earth, which is sort of a pure substance that is generated basically through a process of reduction, of letting go, or we think of trees dropping the leaves at this time of year. It's coming back to that essence of who you are. And so there's it's a possibility of transmutation through what it is that we can let go of, whatever feels excessive, and a time, I think of it as a time to move from anything that's felt stuck, that has felt accumulated over the summer that keeps you stuck, to let go of what that is, so that we move from stuckness to stillness. The lungs are also associated with the large intestine. So again, these two organs are a lot about releasing. Just think about taking a deep sigh or having a really good BM. There's a release that happens, a sort of lightness of being that can happen through that. And that is, again, something that brings us back to that source essence. So the skin is also associated with the lungs, and the skin also sort of expands and contracts according to temperature. And so this is a time of pulling in and contracting. So think about what are those sort of modes of being that you're kind of letting go of at this point. I think, let's see, I have the lungs engender value. I teach that what is most valuable is basically untarnished inside, like the colors of the leaves before they turn. Even when we can't see them, those colors are there underneath the green. And the metal imbalances imply a lack of capacity to connect to that inner value. So when you're feeling like those times of self-doubt or things are not really working for you or that kind of thing, that this is something that can result in a kind of clinging that can be experienced as loss, grief, sadness, nostalgia, lack of self-worth that comes from a sense of loss of your own sense of your own value. I think that the animal that's associated with this season is the tiger. So it's the white tiger. So you think about a white tiger and how it moves. I love to think about how they move through their chest. That's all about your lung capacity. And like I said, courage. So that having the courage of a tiger to really face what the loss is. And of course, here in this country, I know some of you are coming in from someplace else, but here in this country, we've just experienced the loss of, one of our biggest proponents of justice, and this is the season of justice. So there's almost like, I think that there's almost like this sense that we're drawing in the spirit energy of what Ruth Bader Ginsburg embodied and personified for so many of us. And we're allowing ourselves to just take that into the essence to carry it forward. So what I'd love to you to write now, I did have you write some pre-work, and I see some of you have already put in the chat what that pre-work, some of what your pre-work was, which the return, the question of return. What I'd love to have you do right now is to say that, write down the word or words that best describe how I want to live this transition of what autumn is. What feels like you want to carry forward? What is that essence self? So if you think about who's at the core, I think in one of my emails I wrote about looking into my own eyes, and that there's a consistency that happens from the time you're really, when you first come in and you first perceive yourself all the way till the end of your life. There's something in those eyes, those the windows to the soul, that has to do with your essence. So what do you want to carry that's essential for you as we move into this new season and this transitional season? We're actually, in Chinese medicine, we're actually at the peak of autumn, not at the beginning of autumn. So this is beautiful. I love seeing what you're writing. Healthy, gracious, courageous, loving, and joyful. Hope, optimism, activism, involvement, being close to yourself and anchored in it. Yes, Khulud. Bright, courage. Yes. Yeah, and that is you, Allison. Communion and communication, trust, gratitude, and focus. And thank you, Laura, for putting in from your play work that you did ahead of time of feeling good in your life, happy and purposeful. You want to return to a state you were at a time in your life when you felt free to express your thoughts and offer your wisdom, which you have so much blessings to offer. Trust, gratitude, and focus, Roya. And returning close to the essence. I know it's going pretty fast, so I'm reading it just so you know. I'm not just read. I know you can all read it also, but I read it partly just to name the importance of it. It helps to vocalize it, helps to carry the energy of it, and also for people who are tuning in later today who aren't able to make it live. I'm reading it for you because just to kind of inspire you to think about how you would answer the question. Compassionate clarity, trust, acceptance, being your authentic self, empowering yourself, carrying into compassion and returning to a sense of hope, working together and changing the world for the better. Betty Ann, my wordsmith, played with return can be return, as in turning in another direction and wanting to carry forward, losing what hasn't serve to create new things with imagination and courage, which feels very, very timely right now, right? That's beautiful. Okay, I think that courage, trust, health from Joy. Yes, Laura, I do save the chat. Returning, and so maybe I'll send that to you if maybe that's what you're asking, really. So a return to wisdom, discernment, strength, inner knowing, and strong focus to fuel activism. This is absolutely the time that I think so many of us are really doing it. Quiet, calm in the midst of turmoil, hope and action to bring our nation back to our best self. To everything, turn, 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 Rosie. Trust you to bring in the music. Elizabeth, wanting to bring forward truth and expression of the truth, joy, empathy, enthusiasm, love, And I see a few of you are saying some privately, so I won't read it. I'm thinking maybe you want to keep that private. But things like letting go of what you can't change, focusing. So this is all beautiful. Thank you so much, everybody. Keep writing as things come to you. I do want to move into the practice, but I think it's really great. It's really great to be able to name these things before we actually begin the practice again. So what I'd love you to do right now is actually, everybody's sound is turned off, I think. So what I'd like you to do is just go ahead and name those things as though you were just telling me and one another. Just go, speak. Say what it is. Say what it is. Get the vibration of your voice behind what we're wanting to do.
Compassionate clarity.
Justice. Courage.
Courage, trust, health. And after, if you unmuted yourself, please do mute yourself once you are done.
Belief in the intrinsic beauty of self and others in community.
I like it. Courageous, joyful, and loving.
Wisdom, discernment, strength, inner knowing, and a strong focus to fuel my activism.
Hope, optimism, activism, involvement.
Okay, so I'm going to ask everybody to mute yourself. Thank you. If you haven't named it, go ahead and name it with it muted. That's all good. Again, it's really more about your when you name it, creating that vibrational essence. So let's go ahead and start to warm up. We're going to start with the feet apart. I'm going to change to something here so I can see you. All right, so feet apart. And we're going to begin just by circling the hips. So if you're in a wheelchair or a scooter and you can't stand, of course, what I have you do is move your upper body. I'm not quite sure how many of you here are not able to stand, but please feel free to adapt however you want to, and also to unmute yourself and interrupt if you need further instruction. But for those of us who can stand, we're going to just shift those hips all the way around. And you're going to see if you can just get some movement in the hip sockets. All right, bring your feet so they're hip distance apart. And let's circle the shoulders all the way around. Big circle, take your time with this and really see how full a circle you can get. When I've mentioned this before for those of you who've worked with me in the past, that this is almost like you're creating a bellows effect for your lungs. So this expansion and contraction of happening in your lungs. And this is really a critical thing to do right now, right? Is to have that sense of really feeding the lungs, really activating the lungs. Keep circling your shoulders, keep going. I'm sure you can see. All right. And then place your hands on your shoulders and we're going to circle the arms backwards. Elbows are going to go for a full circle backwards. Shoulder blades coming together and moving apart. Relax your jaw. Relax the space between your eyebrows. Full circle. Relax your jaw. So I'm still seeing some people with your teeth together. See if you can just relax right through here. And if you like, you can place the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth behind your front teeth. And I can talk more about that a little bit later, but for right now, the main thing is to feel those shoulder blades as they activate the lungs. All right, one arm back and then the other. And you're going to follow your hand with your eyes. And what that does is that helps to activate the focusing muscles of the eyes and also helps to relax them. And then drop your arms down by your sides, drop your head to one side, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, bring that opposite shoulder down away from your ear. And inhale, release. Exhale, pull down. And inhale, release. One more time. You really want to just stretch down along the side of your neck. Hold it there, and then reach out through your little finger, then your fourth finger, middle finger, index finger, and thumb, and then rotate that arm back and forth. Okay, turn your head so you're looking down at the ground, and bring your chin down towards your collarbone. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, sink down a little further, and then take that back shoulder forward, up, back, and hold it down. Take the hand you're looking down at and bring it back. Get a hold of your wrist and pull it towards your tailbone. And then come forward. Hands behind the head, soften your knees, and curl forward. And then roll up, reach up, and then bring your arms in a nice full circle all the way around. And you want to feel yourself reaching back behind your head and then in front, just really going for as full a circle as your body permits, and around the other way. Now, if you have a shoulder impingement and this doesn't work for you, you can do the movement straight out in front of you. You just basically want to go circles in each direction there. If this is too high, you can also do it down here. All right, good. Let's bring the arms down, hands onto the legs, take a flat back position, and pull your belly button up, round your back, and then release. Chin up, chest up, upper back up. Okay, so I'm going to face forward so I can see you, but round, and then arch. And again, you go for as full a movement as you can. If you're in a scooter or a chair, you just do the movement. You see what kind of flexibility you can feel through movement, through your spine. So you just want to have a sense of almost lubricating the space between the bones, right? And the bones are connected to that essence also. They're connected to that metal, the structure that makes you you. Okay, and then we're going to just shake. All right, so shake out your shoulders, shake out your head, relax your jaw, let your hands just bounce at the bottom. Make sure that you continue to breathe evenly. And now, since we are all muted except for me, I'm going to ask you to make sounds and to let yourself feel anything that has felt stuck, stagnant, frustrating. Maybe it's a reaction to what's happening here for those of us in this country. I know there are people here from other countries. Maybe it's something to do with your own personal journey. Maybe it's a combination, but I'd like you just to make a sound. And so you just really let yourself roar. I'm going to mute myself and join you in doing that. Explore your vocal range as you do it. Keep going, keep going. Good, and then put your hands on your lower abdomen, feet hip distance apart, and just take a moment to breathe. Notice whatever you notice, right? You shook something up, you shook something out, and I'd like you just to brush off your body. Any of that stagnation, just brush it out of your mind or out of your gut or wherever it might be feeling stuck. And again, hands back on the lower dantian. Again, we're going to circle with the hips, but keep the hands on the belly. You're circling your upper body if you're seated, and then around in the other direction. Okay, so let's do a little nourishment for the lungs. I'm going to take the arms and bring them across your chest.
We're not going to do the
Little
other.
fingers and just tap your collarbones. You're just up and down the collarbone. And then let your fingers rest on the collarbone again, on your clavicle. And then we're going to slide the hand down a little bit so your middle fingers go right below those collarbones. And if you push in, you'll feel there's a hollow there. And I'd like you just to press a few times, just press in and out of those lung points. So it's almost like you're pumping a little energy there into the lungs. And again, the lungs hold that sense of that essence, the discernment as we let go of what doesn't serve us requires that level of self-worth and self-esteem that's part of the virtue of this season. So as you do this movement, you want to have a sense that as you're pressing, I recommend pressing with your middle finger, and your middle finger, which is your heart finger, is basically the heart bringing energy into the fire of the heart. It's a fire element into the metal of the lungs. So that which is stuck and stagnant, again, gets to be softened and moved, particularly around how you see your ability to rise, especially during times which can be so demoralizing or difficult. And so many of us are experiencing grief for so many different reasons. To be able to let that not feel like a stuck thing, it's a vital force that we're going to tap into to bring in courage. So we're going to take those middle fingers now, and I'd like you just to circle those points. I'll come a little closer so you can see me better, but circling around basically those points. And by the way, these lung points are fairly forgiving. You don't have to be super exact, and don't worry too much. Generally, when you just move your fingers down from your crossed arm position below the collarbone, you hit those hollows right away. Let's go around in the other direction with your circles. Make sure your jaw is relaxed. Make sure the space between your eyebrows is also relaxed. All right. And then we're going to place the palms over those points that you just stimulated. And I'd like you to imagine that you're just tapping in to whatever that sense of grief or sadness. And it's not that grief or sadness is bad. Of course it's not. It's necessary. What happens is when we stay stuck in it, it becomes soggy. It starts to bring us down. It starts to move into a place that's not useful. Grief in itself, I know for many of us, we need to experience it, but then we also need to be able to find the joy that is actually the container for that grief. So we do that just by starting to pull out what is stuck, what feels like it's stuck or stagnant here. Pull it out of those lung one points, right? And then bring your arms up, inhale. And as you exhale, bring your arms down by your sides. And you're going to imagine just releasing that stagnation into the earth, which, by the way, is not polluting the earth. It's actually becomes compost. So that stuck energy becomes compost and we can access it later. And what I'd like you to do in this position is to just move your hands around a little bit here. So it's like you're making little circles over the earth and then around in the other direction. Because I want to see if we can tap into that nourishing quality of the earth. So those of you who were in the end of summer workshop that I did at the beginning of this month, we worked a fair amount on the earth element. So now the earth basically feeds metal, right? So metal is that, again, that reduction that happens in the earth. So it has to do with coming to the essence, and that's what composting does. All right, so we're working with the compost here, and we're going to let ourselves now just bounce up and down a little bit. And even if you don't feel anything here, just pretend that you do. Where your mind goes, the chi follows. That saying, yi dao, qi dao. This is a sense of really being connected here to this electromagnetic pulse that is the earth that feeds us all the time. So it's the earth is about our nourishment. Okay, then we're going to bring the hands up. Bring all of your fingers to touch your thumbs. Their thumb on each hand. And you're going to inhale here. And then as you exhale, you're going to just make an S sound. So breathe in, shoulders are down. And breathe out with the S sound. Now, as you do this movement this time, I'd like you to take that sound, that S sound, and think of sending it into your lungs. So you're vibrating your lungs. So it's barely audible, drinking the sound in. Again, breathing in and breathing out. and in and out. Again. And bring your hands to your lower abdomen, your dantian, lower dantian, between your belly button, top of your pubic bone. Take a moment just to breathe. Just notice whatever you notice. Feel whatever it is that you feel. Okay, let's go ahead and go into the eye of the storm. So for those of you who've been working with me for a while, this is familiar, but I'd like to just kind of review some of the essence of it, partly for the new people, but partly because it's always good to kind of come back to the basics. So with eye of the storm, what we're working with is our ability to balance stillness and motion. So this is, the metal time is all about coming to making order out of chaos, creating structure out of chaos. So I used to work with these groups back in Baltimore, way back in the 70s, that were anarchist groups, but there was this wonderful anarchist saying that I've always loved, that's we're building a new society in the vacant lots of the old. And there's a lot of that feeling right now. There's something being built, something is emerging. There's a lot that's emerging that feels oppressive and difficult, and other things that are emerging that feel hopeful and like on the right path. So when we're in that place where there's a lot of chaotic thought and you might find yourself looping again and again in your brain, this is a good practice to bring yourself back to center. And also, I'd like you to think about that essence of who you are. Again, this is this time of self-worth, of the precious metal that is you, and to be able to think about what that essence is. What is some of the things that you can really claim that you know about yourself deeply? And we're going to just take a moment. In fact, let's just put our hands on the abdomen and just take a moment to think about that. Just don't even listen to me. Just take a moment to think, what is an essence that I want to nourish or that I want to protect? Then we're going to make fists and bring the fists in towards the waist here, okay? And the shoulders are down. And so I'd like you to imagine holding in your fist, in your palms, just sort of holding that essence. And we're going to take one arm, it doesn't matter which one you start with, but you're going to take it across your chest so that you're reaching out. And again, if you're seated in a chair, you should be able to do this, adapt if you have arms on the chair. And as you reach, look at those fingertips, and then look and see if you can find the place where you're looking just where the tip of your finger and the rest of whatever's around you is. So you might see the walls or the windows or whatever it is that you happen to be looking at. But you want to see right here where that meets. And then we're going to take the arm and we're going to move it forward and then all the way around us. And as you do that, you're going to continue to watch that space where the tip of the fingers and the room, or if you're outdoors, the outdoor seems to me. Okay, and we're going to take that space, motion and stillness, and bring it in. Now, of course, when we do this movement, your hand is moving and the room is not, or the space around you is not, but it may look like the opposite. The hand that's moving actually looks relatively still when you have your focus there, and it looks like the room is spinning or the world is spinning around you. So this play of stillness and motion is the essence of how we come back to center, to listen for our own sense of worth, inner worth, coming back to the essence of who you are. So exhaling as you go across and inhaling. And exhaling. And again, take that ability to be with stillness and motion and bring it in. So part of what is important in this whole question of self-esteem, let's keep going. Exhale, and then inhale as you go back. Part of what's important to be able to sustain that is how do we hold our boundaries? So that's, as you do this movement, it's actually being able to have that sense of where your fingers end and the rest of the world begins, and being able to be in relation to it. So with boundaries, I don't mean shutting the world out. What I mean is being able to be whole in yourself. That which is negative or difficult bounces off what's called your Wei Qi field, and you can draw in that which helps you grow, which may not be comfortable. It may be challenging, but if you know it's something that you want to embrace and take in, you get to make that choice. That's what discernment really is. So as you come in, we're going to exhale, looking at your fingertips. And then inhale, bring your arm all the way back. Take your time. And then exhale. And then inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And inhale. A couple more times. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. And breathing in. And one more time, exhale, looking at those fingertips. Inhale. Exhale. And inhale. And bring your hands to your lower dantian. And just take a moment to breathe. Again, into that essence. Who is it that you felt that you were to be as a child? You know, how did you experience that essence of who you are? How do you experience it as an adult? And how do you expect to experience as you move into older and older age? What is that essence quality of you? And let's now add a little bit of balancing to the picture. So we're going to have one hand up, one hand down. And we're going to, as we do this movement, your hands are parallel for those of you who are new, and welcome. I'm so glad you're here. We're going to rotate the hands here. And then one hand goes down, one hand goes up. You want to do this so that they're pretty simultaneous. So when you turn the hands, they sort of brush by each other energetically. And one hand down, one hand up. Relax your jaw, relax the space between your eyebrows, and imagine that your knees are very, very barely bent so that your tailbone can hang like a kangaroo's tail down to the ground, and your crown is lifted all the way up towards the sky. Your shoulders are relaxed, your jaw is relaxed, and your arms are a little bit forward of your body so that you can feel a sense of air or spaciousness underneath your armpits. Looking good. All right, and now you're going to imagine that as you do this movement, you're going to, again, wake up your fingertips just like we did in Eye of the Storm, and see if you can feel currents of air with the tips of your fingers. You may not be able to, but even if you can't, just pretend. Again, this Yi Dao Qi Dao, where your mind goes, the Qi follows. Just imagine that you're stroking currents of air like you're stroking a fabric. And now as one hand goes down, if you're standing, I'm going to have you shift your weight into that foot. If you're seated, you're going to shift your weight into that hip or sits bone. And then we're going to go in the other direction. And notice that you're not going to tilt, okay? You're going to stay vertical, because we want to have a sense that the head is lifting up to the heavens, which is to do with your inspiration and your guidance. And your tailbone and your feet are connected to the earth, and you want to have the tailbone down, hanging down towards the earth. So you're grounding that heavenly inspiration. You're bringing it down into what are the things that you can do with it? What are the actions that you take in your life? So when we're doing this movement, you know, and accessing this sense of being a vessel between heaven and earth, we're accessing that ability to tap into that which is larger than ourselves, so that we don't have to just always depend on our own energy, but that we actually have, inspiration from above, grounding from below. And that can super help when we're feeling overwhelmed, tired, exhausted, anxious, all of those different things. When we can start to move energy in this way, we tap into not just the larger self, but also into one another, because we're kind of in this place here that we're sharing a chi field. So whether you're listening to the recording or watching the recording, or you're here live, there's a sense here that we are interconnected in the ways in which you choose. You get to continue to have the discernment of what you choose and don't choose. So your boundaries are always to be honored. But in this particular case, you can access the sense of being in a community that's larger than just yourself. Okay, so as you do this movement now, as your hand comes down, I'd like the opposite heel to come up. I'll go back a little so you can see my feet, and then shift. So again, try not to tilt, but just let the one heel come up and then the other. And you can go all the way up to the tip of the toe if you want to. And of course, if you're seated, if you're unable to do the standing movement, you continue just to go from hip to hip and just let yourself feel where that internal lift might be on the side that's lifting. And it's not even an effort to lift, right? It's about pouring the weight from one foot into the other. Good. Then we're going to turn the palms toward one another. As you inhale, we're going to let the hands come apart. And as you exhale, your hands come in. I'm coming a little closer so you can see me, but you can stay where you are. So inhale and exhale. And I'm going to have you clap your hands together, rub, so that you're going to create some heat between your hands. And then cup your hands, continue to feel for that heat. Relax your fingers, and again, we're going to open the hands out as you inhale and close as you exhale, and you're going to listen for anything that you feel between your hands. Notice if your hands, as they're coming apart, what you feel in terms of that warmth or heat. If you lose a sense of connection between the hands, you can always rub together again. So anytime, just stop and rub, okay? All right, good. So inhaling as your hands come apart and exhaling. And again, breathing in and breathing out. Keep that jaw relaxed. And we're going to go back into the balancing now. So one hand up, one hand down. So these are two different, very basic, very simple Qigong forms. They actually are in, and we're going to shift weight side to side. They're actually in many of the different traditions that I've studied, both of them, including this one actually is also in Tai Chi Chuan, which is for some people considered to be one aspect of Qigong, right? It's the human version aspect of Qigong. Can say more about that at another time if you're interested. But the bottom line here, when we're doing this movement of shifting that weight up, forward and back, up and down rather, and side to side in this way. When you're doing that, you're working with balancing what that inner awareness is, like in Eye of the Storm being at the center of chaos, and what your external awareness is. So again, not blocking out the external noise, but being able to be in a place of presence, your observer self, your grounded observer self, to be with whatever it is that might be shaking you or could shake you off center, to be able to observe it, be with it, stay calm here in the center, and stay balanced. So balancing half of what you feel internally and half of what you notice externally is what the process is. And bring your hands to the lower dantian. Okay, let's just shake out. Maybe grab we're going to learn a new form called Embrace the Wind, Caress the Moon. But before we do, I want to just take a sip of water, encourage you to drink. And if you have questions, you can put them in the chat. But what I'd also like to see you put in the chat right now when I asked you to think about what that essence was, what came to your mind? What did you think of? What did you think? Yeah, this is something that feels consistent in me. And it could be anything. It could be, your heart energy, how you love. It could be a sense of curiosity that you've had since you were little and that you expect to hold. What are some of the things that you feel are the essence that you carry forward, that you felt when you were a child, that you feel as an adult, that you expect to feel as you age? Okay, so Jane asked, what does it mean if there's pain when you touch those lung points? It basically means keep touching them. It means you've probably been exposed to smoke. I know that I think you've had smoke there too. So lungs, this is one of the best things you can do on a Qigong way is to stimulate the lung points and to work with the lungs so that you get air moving through. So stay with it. Don't be afraid of the pain. Don't push into it. You don't want to make it hurt, but just stay present, back off to a place that's acceptable to you. Curiosity and persistence for your life, Roya. Compassion and curiosity, Marcia. Joy, enthusiasm, and passion, Anna. Energy and commitment from Benet. Wonder, optimism, and inner song from Betty Ann. Innocence from Elizabeth, how beautiful. Jen, connection to the divine, to all creation. I just saw that you did that privately. I hope it's okay, I named it. Essence of questioning and investigation. Joy, beauty, searching. Love and commitment. Love of God and the divine, creativity, aliveness, openness, strength, and compassion. Creativity, as you know, I know many of you pretty well, and I would say you're naming so well what I think of when I think of you. Bubbling, sparkling engagement, gratitude. It's okay to be happy, innocent, naive, and feel love, yes. Joy and connection from Penina. And Christina, she's asking, when you shift the weight, when does the weight go into the right foot as the right hand goes down or up? It's when it goes down, Christina. Innocence, trust, connection with spirit and self and others. Passion, connection. Yes. All right. Okay, if you have anything else to say, go ahead and say it now. And we will go ahead and move into wonder, curiosity, and openness to life. Don't want to miss that, Laura. Okay, so let's go into embrace the wind, caress the moon. Okay, so this is one that I have done traditionally because it really is a lung form. So I traditionally like to teach it at this time of year and practice it this time of year. It does have a walking version that I don't think I'll take the time to do today, but I think that we're going to just do the standing version. So, but basically again, it's working with sort of the same kind of concept of this balancing of internal and external, the alchemy of going into the metal, of going into that internal place, finding your sense of value, finding your sense of essence, and honoring it through practice. So your feet in this one are about hip distance apart and turned out very slightly. Okay, so when you open up your feet in this way, some of you have heard me say this many times before, but you're opening up the yin meridians on the inside of the leg. So it's opening to the receptivity of what doing this practice might bring you. All right, so we're going to clap your hands together for a moment and then tap your fingertips together. All right, until you start to feel a little bit of tingling. It might even feel a little bit annoying. All right, and then you're going to bring your arms out and take your hands so that they're just an inch or two apart from one another. Okay, and what I'd like you to do first is just to move your hands up and down and see if you can start to feel a buzz or a sense of connection. It's some kind of energetic connection between those fingers. Good. And move in and out. Just sort of play with that so that you can kind of feel, yeah, they really are connected. All right. So we're going to hold the hands, and we're going to bring the hands in front of you, sort of kind of like you're holding a narrow tree or something. You're going to bring the arms down, and then come up underneath your solar plexus. Then let the hands come down and forward. The hands come up over your head And then bring them down the front of your body. And then out in front of you in a circle. Bring your hands in. And now we're going to rotate so the hands are going to turn up, palms turn up, and the arms go back in a circle here. Okay? So it's basically a bunch of circles that we're working with. So we're going to come up the center line of your body, come down, and then inhale, and then exhale. A nice long exhalation as your hands come up over your head. They come down the front of your body as you inhale. And then exhale, just do a big circle with your hands, like pebble on the lake, those of you who've worked with me in the last series. And then inhale as you come in. And now we're going to flip the palms, exhale, and the hands come around. So from here, they circle, the fingertips circle up, back and out, and come back in front of you. So this first movement is embracing the wind. And so the wind represents your spirit. Again, that core essence. And then caressing the moon. And the moon is a metaphor for your intuition. So you're just, as your hands come down and you're embracing these two elements, spirit and or will and intuition, you want to lift the crown of your head up. So it's almost like have you ever pushed yourself up out of a pool of water where you're pushing up? That's that feeling as you're emerging here. Emerging in your beautiful, in your essence. And then here we're embracing basically the infinite nature of who we are, right? Because what we're doing here is we're doing figure eights, right? On a figure eight on each side of your body. So it's sort of like a infinity sign. You're standing between two infinity signs. So inhaling and then exhaling. And then inhaling and bringing your hands up to your solar plexus. And then exhale. Your hands come forward and up. And then as you inhale, lift the crown of your head, lengthen. And I want you to see if you can feel the space between your bones, between the vertebrae in your back. And then exhale and inhale and exhale. So embracing the wind of who you are, of that essence, of that spirit. And inhale it. And like I'd like to now just to see if you can tighten your solar plexus really, really tight. And then let it go. Exhale. It's a long exhalation, but a real big release in the solar plexus as your hands come up over your head. And then inhale, lift your crown, lengthen your neck, shoulders are down, bring your hands down. And then exhale as your hands go forward. Inhale as your hands come in. And then exhale as your arms come back around. Now let's see if we can do that without a lot of shoulder involvement. So I'm seeing some people kind of coming around like this. You want to have a sense that the shoulder blades come down as your arms come around. Nice. And inhale. And exhale. Embrace the wind of your conscious spirit. And exhale. Caress the moon of your inner knowing. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Again. As you do the movement this time, I'd like you to feel like there's energy coming up from your feet, up your spine, lifting all the way up towards your head. And then we're going to just have a sense of that energy just drifting down like a leaf falling off a tree down to your feet. And then inhale and hold tight here in the solar plexus. And then release it. So that sense of contraction and expansion in the solar plexus is very important. And as you do this breathing here, you're going to inhale, you're pushing yourself up. It's almost like you're watching Here you're bringing yourself into your observer self so you can see how yin and yang interplay. As we go forward, exhale and inhale and exhale. We're watching yin move into yang, move into yin, like night moves into day, moves into night. Inhale and exhale. A very good way to balance this time of equinox where we're just on this pinnacle where we're shifting from light into dark. Exhale. And inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Again. And come up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale, bring your hands to your lower dantian. And notice whatever you notice. Feel whatever it is that you might be feeling. And then just shake out your legs, shake out your arms, shake out your booty. Just let yourself move around a little bit freely, stretch however you want to stretch. And I think what we'll do is we'll take a 5-minute break. It's 11:55 in the West Coast. So in 5 minutes, we'll reconvene, but take a water break, go use the bathroom. Let's just take a bio break, do whatever it is that would feel like it would be nurturing to you right now. So just take a couple minutes. So Fred, we are stopping at 12:30. So I know you have a 1 o'clock appointment, you said, but just stay as long as you can. Okay, so I'd love to check in with you and find out what did you notice doing some of those practices? Anything at all that you'd like to report in about? I'd love to hear what you're experiencing with it, if it's working for you or if it's feeling helpful or not helpful. Um, so good, Kim, is it Kimberly or Kimba? You're muted, so I can't hear you. Oh, good. You're feeling more centered and balanced. That's great. All right. So for this meditation, it is one that I would just encourage. This is going to be a short one, and we are going to go back into movement a little more moving qigong. This is an internal qigong exercise based on the microcosmic orbit. Again, a very common meditation in many different qigong systems. So what I'd like you to do is just put your hands in your lap and feet on the ground, if you can, if you are able. And then to have a sense that you're letting your bones stack. So let's just sitting, move your back around a little bit, just wobble around. Let your head and neck move a little bit. And then I'd like you to let yourself slump, just like we're not supposed to do. Just let your body slump. And then from the base of the spine, I'd like to start to build one vertebra on top of another. So you're going to grow through that spine, lifting up higher and higher. Crown lifting up towards the sky. Relax your jaw. Shoulders are down. And again, we want to have this sense of feeling suspended between heaven and earth, between the feet on the ground and the top of the head connected to the sky. And when I'm looking up a little bit because my computer's a little high, but I don't want you to do that. Don't lift your chin. Let your chin come down so the back of the neck is long. I always think of it like a giraffe's neck. You really have a sense of lengthening up and over here so that you really have a sense that your crown is lifted. When we do this, we're breaking the connection here between mind and heart. You want to have a sense this is being lifted up like old school used to say, like a marionette string holding you. All right, so hands are together in your lap or on your legs, palms facing one another. Prefer the right hand on top if you can, but if you can't, don't worry about it. And place the tip of the tongue on the roof of your mouth. And again, you're welcome to turn off your video if you'd like, because this is an internal qigong practice. And what I'd like you to do is to take a moment from the last day, week, month, or season where something happened that you just felt grateful. And it could have been a small moment. It could have been the smell of a perfectly ripe piece of fruit, or it could have been a moment where you've had a connection with somebody that you haven't had before. Or maybe it was somebody that you connected to that you're very connected to. Maybe it's a spouse or a significant other. Or maybe it's a moment that you were looking into the eyes of your pet, of your cat or your dog, where you just felt that sense of gratitude or then kind of a joyous, tingling sensation. Something that makes you smile when you remember it. Then I'd like you just to take that moment and surround it as though it's in a pearl, like you know the snow globes that used to have where you shake them, and like a snow globe, except it's an energy pearl holding that image of that moment that makes you smile and feel gratitude. And I'm going to ask if you would to put the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth behind your front teeth, just resting lightly there. Then bring your attention to your navel center, to your belly button. And I'd like you to imagine that that moment of gratitude that's being held in a pearl of energy is resonating there, right behind your belly button. And then we're going to let that pearl of energy drop down right between the belly button and the top of the pubic bone in the ovarian or testicular palace. It's called ovarian testicular palace. It's in the same place for men and women. It's right behind, right between the belly button and the top of the pubic bone. So we're going down the yin channel, or what's the functional channel down the front of the body here, taking this pearl of energy with us. So this pearl now drops down to the perineum, right between your genitals and your rectum. And I'd like you to squeeze and release a few times, that like you're lifting your pelvic floor a little bit. For women, it's the same as doing Kegels, just lifting and releasing. And then take that pearl of energy all the way back to your tailbone and breathe into that pearl of energy. And I'd like to imagine that pearl of energy begins to glow. And inside that pearl, you can see this moment of joyful gratitude, a moment of connection, a moment of peace, harmony. Then draw that pearl of energy up to the lower back, directly behind your belly button. So in your back, this is called the Ming Mong Center, or the door of life. And we're going to just take that joyful moment, that moment of gratitude, and let it circulate there. Then bring up that pearl of energy all the way to the area behind your solar plexus. So we're moving up the yang channel now, up the back. And we're going to breathe air and attention into that area behind the solar plexus, into that pearl of energy that's glowing there in your back. Then draw that pearl up to the space between your shoulder blades. Right into, those of you who are in the summer solstice workshop, this is the cobra, the yang of the heart, the spine of the heart. Particularly important in this time of metal to feel the strength of that. So if you picture a cobra with its hood spread and the level of focus that that has, that's what you're breathing into, is that sense of focused energy. And we're breathing in that gentle image of connection and gratitude. Then draw from that pearl all the way up the back of the spine, from between your shoulder blades up to the base of your skull, top of your neck, called the jade pillow, sometimes known as an intuition point in Jin Shin Do. And you're going to breathe into the base of the skull. Smiling into that energy, seeing if you can feel that again, tapping into that memory that brings your heart a sense of love, joy, connection, gratitude. And then draw that pearl of energy all the way up to your crown. Take a moment just to feel that. In fact, let's take one hand, either hand, place it on the top of your head at your crown, and just tap the top of your head. Tap around the top of your head a few times so you feel a little bit of tingling. Then bring your hand back to where it was, clasped with the other hand, holding energy between the two palms, and breathe into that place that you just touched. Then take that pearl of energy, bring it down to your third eye, between your eyebrows or the middle of your forehead. Anywhere in there is fine, is all part of the same system here. And you're just going to breathe that energy into that radiant pearl of energy there, breathing intention to connect with that love, joy, gratitude moment. And then bring the pearl down to your throat. And breathe into the throat. This is where we speak our truth. This is where it becomes imperative to be able to bring our voices forward. So let this moment inform your throat, relax your throat, to open up to be able to express your wisdom, your truth. This is a nourishment for these energy points, these different chakras. And then bring that pearl of energy down to the space in the center of your chest, in your heart chakra. For those of you who do yoga or Indian practices, breathing into that spot there in the heart. And going to bring that pearl of energy really in past the bone, your breastbone, into the thymus gland. You just imagine you're smiling into your thymus gland, and your thymus gland is the center of your immune system, particularly important to keep activated and alive and awake during these times where so many people's health is at risk. Breathe into your heart chakra. Take a moment just to luxuriate, because this is really a good home for that moment that's in this pearl of energy. Feel the movement of your lungs as you breathe into the heart chakra. Then let that pearl drop down to your solar plexus, breathing into your solar plexus. And then let it return back to the navel center where we started. Okay. When you feel ready, I'm going to ask you to turn your video back on. And I'm going to go ahead and clap your hands. It's not just that I want the applause, I want to just stimulate the points in your palms. And then clap over your head, come down the front of your body, go all the way down to your feet, up the back of your body and out, and then splash. Just splash yourself with this good chi that you've just cultivated internally. So there's some qigong, and those of you, I know that I have several qigong teachers here, but there's some qigong that's internal, some that's external, and of course microcosmic orbit is a way to move energy internally. It's one of my very favorite meditations. Feel free to tap into the recording when you get it and do it again, or just do it in your own timing, in your own way. Okay, so I'd like to go into just a moment of transition. So those of you who were in the end of summer workshop, we went into some depth with this form. For those of you who were not there, transition basically is 6 stages. And because we're in this peak of time, right, in this apex of fall, where we're going from the light into the dark, it feels like it'd be a useful addition to do. I don't have time to do it as deeply as I'd like, but I do want to do it with you. So you're going to start with your feet about hip distance apart. And the 6 stages of transition are releasing. What are you letting go of? Part of what we're working with here as we do these different moves. What are you drawing in? That sense of coming back to self, essence. And then how do you integrate that so that you have a sense of that's all part of you? And then how do you create internal space for change to happen? Change internally, socio-politically, energetically, spiritually, however you want to think of that, internal space for that change to happen, and then allowing that to move out into external space. And then finally coming home to center. So as you do this movement, exhale as you go down, inhale as you come up, exhale as you come down, inhale, push, exhale, expand. Nice, beautiful. Inhale, I'm feeling a lot of energy from you guys. I don't know if you can see each other, but it's beautiful. So letting go of what no longer serves you, let it go. Just down through your legs, feet down into the earth. Inhale, drawing up new fresh energy from the earth. This is that composted brown energy I talked about before. And then exhale and just let yourself feel that integration of that new energy coming in, the fresh, crisp fall weather. And then inhale, creating internal space. Exhale, letting this change happen. So you're in here, you're in your power. You're just letting yourself be at ease in yourself. And then inhale, coming home to your source. That's you. All right, so exhale, letting go. And inhale, And exhale. Inhale and exhale. And inhale, coming home to center. Letting go of what no longer serves you. Let's just do that again. Letting go of what no longer serves you. I want to see it really travel down. There we go. Travels down through your legs, feet into the earth. And then from your feet, like straws, drinking energy up from the earth, receiving that wonderful brown, fresh smelling composted energy. And then exhale. Let yourself settle into your own spine. Inhale, make internal space for change to happen. Exhale, allow it to happen. And inhale, coming back home. And hands on the lower dantian. So we're going to go back into doing embrace the wind, caress the moon. I almost said blossom the spring. That's our spring form. But before we do, I wanted to let you know, a few of you have private chatted me about what can you do to continue. So I want to just give you some notes about that, and then we'll finish with a couple of a little bit of a review of the forms, and then I'm going to do the drawing for those of you who shared this with new people. Welcome to the new people. I do a drawing for this prize of a 45 session with me, 45-minute session with me for either a Tao reading or an energy reading or coaching session or whatever you want to use our time for. So basically what I want to say, and I actually again wrote some notes about this, which I think that this is a time to connect our chi to our common purpose. And I believe that we have to summon our energy and that sense of connection for the long haul. So in other words, this is a time where we really need to work on sustainability, sustaining our own energy, right? There's a lot that's happening globally, nationally, and internally, energetically, a lot that's going on. So I'm really looking at how do we stay tenacious in our own energy field? Because I want to see a more equitable world, and I want to work with people who feel that way, and I know that that's who's drawn to work with me, people who are inspired to act. And in order to do that, I know that we need to build our stamina and our chi for volatile times that are ahead and that are happening right now. I believe that we need each other, and there's ways in which we can connect in the chi field that's really like no other, because even if you don't know each other individually, there's that sense of really, when we're working with the chi together, that actually permeates out beyond just your own system. So I think that this class will be important if you believe that things are going to continue to be volatile, maybe splinter or implode, or that we need this sense right now of tenacity, intention, and stamina, and to work with the contraction of the season. It's about opening up to your internal strength. Again, believing in that self-worth that you have, that self-sense, that sense of who you are and what you bring to your people in whatever ways that you do, whether it's your family, your community, your activism, whatever it is that you do with your energy, how to really continue to build that and sustain it. So I'm going to do another one of my 4-week series. We just finished one over the summer. This one will be 4 weeks of October on Tuesdays from what time is it? 11:30 to 12:15. They're 45-minute sessions. The cost is the same. It's $68 for the 4 weeks, and that includes the recording. So if you can't make it live, you can still work with us. But to thank you for today's event, I would like to offer you, if you sign up by midnight tomorrow, that's Wednesday, you can save $10. So the way in which to do this is Sherry, if you could put it on the October series, I see you're already doing it, is Vicky of Joy /autumn. And then you'll enter a coupon code that says save 10. And that coupon code will be good till tomorrow night, midnight Pacific time. So wherever you are, you can translate 3 o'clock East Coast time, 3 a.m. East Coast time. And if you're a Wave Joy member, by the way, don't sign on that way. I'm going to be sending you a membership only price as usual. You get special prices, premium prices for being part of the membership. So please join us for the next 4 weeks so that we can continue to build our stamina together. We continue to build our chi together. So while I still have some time, let's go back into some practice. One of the things that I want to do, because I don't quite have time here, is I want to work on something called summoning the spherical fuel, which is there's 8 flowing forms that I do that are longer forms and we've done the first flowing form. We'll probably do some review of that. I want to include some of the second flowing form which is the summoning the spherical fuel, because it's a lung form. And it's all about how do we come into the present moment? How do we take what we've learned from the past, what we envisioned for the future, consolidate it here, and then infuse it with heaven energy. So I hope that you will join me for the next 4 weeks in October. We're not going to be meeting next Tuesday, but starting the Tuesday after that, so that you can start to really work with, this is kind of an intro. We'll be reviewing some of this work over the next 4 weeks, but it's really about how do we really build that sense of stamina, tenacity, self-worth, and that sense that we are building this new society, even though sometimes it looks like it's hard or hopeless or despair. We don't need to stay in that place. We probably need to visit it from time to time, but to really let ourselves move into the new beginnings that this time offers. Absorb the gifts of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and let her energy permeate all of us. May it be so. All right, so let's do some work together. Oops, I need to change this again. Okay, all right, so feet hip distance apart, turned out slightly, and we're gonna exhale. We're gonna just go back into transition, and we will break this down a little bit more in October. So whether you've done it before or not, it's always a good one. It's a good meditation to come back to. So drawing new information in, exhaling, integrating it, inhaling, making internal space for change to happen. Exhale, letting yourself imagine, live for a moment in the world that you want to create, the world that you want to see. And then inhale, coming home to yourself. 2 more times. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And inhale. One more time. Letting go of what you no longer need. Drawing in the strength and nourishment to feed what you do need. Letting that nourishment become part of you so that you become strong in your own core center, your core values, your core beliefs. Inhale, making internal space to believe in yourself and what is possible. Exhale, letting yourself live in that world for a moment. Feel it, see it, be it. And then inhale, coming home to center, to a state of rest, a time of contraction, and contraction in this case being a sense of internal nourishment, internal awareness. And we're going to move right into embrace the wind, caress this moon, embrace the wind here of your spirit, embrace that essence, that core essence that you know you've carried throughout your life. And then exhale, caress the moon of your intuition. Allow yourself to listen to that inner knowing that you have. And then watching that sense of that essence of who you are combined with that inner knowing, and observe how yin and yang work together here as we go into this place of infinity as the hands do their figure eights. We're going to do this movement 2 more times. Inhale, feel the chi rise from your feet, up your legs, all the way up to the crown of your head. Exhale, round down through your feet. Good. And then inhale, draw that energy into your solar plexus. Let's hold it super tight. And then exhale, release, embracing here. And then inhale as you raise your crown, relax your jaw, relax the space between your shoulder blades. Here we are in our sense of our observer self. Lift the crown of that head. Keep your chin down. Good, good. And then out. And in. And around. And hands come onto that lower dantian. Okay. So before we do the drawing, what I'd like to do is to do a little bit of drawing the last vestiges of the summer with the lotus wafting movement. So I'd like you to put your hands on your heart. And again, come back to that place of knowing yourself, knowing who you are, knowing what you bring, knowing the consistency of you, appreciating yourself for taking time out of your day to nourish your own chi, to nourish your own sense of being. It's not an easy thing to do these days. I know that even with shelter in place, we all tend to be very, very busy. So just to take a moment to really appreciate yourself for nourishing yourself, and then think about how you'd like whatever benefits you're feeling to become of service to your world. Whether, again, it's your family, your church or temple or mosque, or your sense of larger communities, or your sense of global wishes. Take a moment to feel what you'd like to offer on an energetic level. If this was a real thing, if you could really think your energy is real, it impacts the world around you. There's a ripple effect. That's what we're going into here, into augmenting our chi field together. Okay, so think of what that quality is and then just name it. Say it's presence or love or compassion. And then open your arms out to the two sides. And we're going to begin going to your right. I'm not sure if we're mirrored or not today, but you're going to your right and your palm is turning out and you're just sending that chi, letting that chi emanate out from you. I use the word sending, but I actually don't mean that. I mean it's emanating, you're emitting it. You're allowing it to emanate out, that prayer, that wish, that anything that you do that's nourishing yourself is of service in the ways in which feel right for you. So continue breathing, and you're going to just breathe in your own pattern. I'm not going to give you a breathing pattern for this, but the shoulders are relaxed. There's a sense of openness all the way around you. And just take a moment to feel what that prayer could be, that it be received by those who need to hear it or feel it now. Maybe it's people you know, maybe it's people that you don't know, but let it be shared. May all beings be free. And then bring your hands in, and we're going to go right into pebble on the lake. So inhale, bringing your hands, consolidating anything useful from our time together. Exhale, sending energy out and around you. And breathe in. And breathe out. Same thing. You're standing in the middle of a pond like a lotus flower. And it is as we do this inner work that we've done with the Qigong that emanates out, same way as the lotus wafting that we just did. We're just allowing that energy to travel out as a prayer for those that we want to pray for those who we want to hold in our hearts. And so whether you're spiritual, religious, or not, that sense of care, allowing care to emanate out around you. You don't need to think of it in terms of a prayer if that doesn't work for you. Think of it in terms of a wish or a hope. Okay. And around, all the way around. Just 3 more times together. Inhale and exhale. And in and out. And in and out. Bring it home to the lower dantian and tapping in anything useful from our time together. It was an hour and a half that went so quickly. I was just, I feel like I'd like to go with you for another hour. And tap yourself on the back for making time for yourself and your own chi cultivation. Coming down the arms and up and underneath your armpit here and your chest and down the other arm and up and underneath your armpit and then down to your belly and then outsides of the legs and coming up on the insides of the legs and lower back and upper back, back of your neck, under your occiput, under the bony ridge at the base of your skull, then the top of your head, and clap, rub, and bring your hands all the way down to your feet and up the backs of your legs, around your shoulders, back of the neck, and out, and splash yourself with this good chi that you've made for yourself today. And let's splash one another through the virtual airwaves here. And thank you all for coming. I am going to do the drawing. So we're at 12:30 my time. So we are at the end of the workshop part. I didn't want to make everybody who wasn't part of the drawing. You don't need to stay if you don't want to, but you're welcome to. This drawing again is to thank those people who referred new people into our community and helped build the chi field so beautifully. It's been a joy, true joy to see you today. So thank you so much for coming. I'm going to also hang on a little bit longer if you have any questions or comments or things that you want me to talk about a little bit more. I always stay on a little longer to be able to answer those questions. So thank you all again for coming. All right, so I am going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then